Hello friends, my name is Habib. Today we're going to learn how to make bouncing rectangle generator using HTML canvas. First, open up your browser and VS Code. And in VS Code, go to File, Open Folder, Documents, and right click and create a new folder, naming it Canvas. Select folder, canvas, no. Now that you've done that, you only need to create two files, an index.html and an index.js. So now normally we would write HTML5 and then it will generate all this code, but we don't need that here. We just need to make a script tag linking to the JavaScript file and then create a canvas element. Now a canvas, it basically allows you to draw using HTML. And then I'm going to give it an ID of C. So now in the JavaScript, let scan equals document.getElement by ID C, which basically just gets, this canvas element. Now that we've gotten the canvas element, first I need to copy the path of the HTML file. Paste. Now that we've gotten the element, we cannot just start drawing. No. First, let's see. Can.get context 2D load check console. Cool. Now what this does is that it basically just gets context 2D. We can either make 2D or 3D using HTML canvas. Since this effect, so this thing is going to be 2D, I'm going to write get context 2D. Pretty helpful, I know. So anyways, now that we've done that, the next thing we're going to do is that I'm going to set this can.width to document.inner width. I'm going to set its height to document.inner height. Reload console. But now we can't actually see our canvas. Now what we can do is that I can give this a style, background color black. Reload. Reload. Now when you see, it shows like a black canvas. Whatever, let me just set the width and height here. And I can write width equals like 1000 and then height equals 1000 also. Remove. Reload. Now we don't see anything. I'm going to style background color black. Reload again. Now there's this large black canvas. And reduce the width to 800. 2000 and it's 800. I need it set to just the perfect width and heights. No, not this again. Where did it go? Where did it go? disappeared. Oh, it didn't disappear. So now that we've done this, it's time to actually be drawing things on the canvas. We can write c.fill rect. Now to put in the values. 600 and 600 and then like 100 and 100. It's going to make a rectangle. It's pretty cool. What this fill rect does is basically just it makes a rectangle with width. This is the width, height. Wait, no, this is the x, y. This is the x and y position, and this is the width and height. But now we want this to be running forever. And now I can write function anim request animation frame anim. And then anim request animation frame. It basically makes it so that if we run this function, it's going to keep running and running and running forever. And then I can write c.fill rect. Like 600, 100, 100. Yeah. Going to reduce 300 and 300. Now you see that you're going to see no difference. You might be wondering, what is the point of this? Let's say I create a variable called x, set it to 0, and then I change this to x, and then I increase the value of x by like 10 every frame. Not a word. Now if I reload this rectangle is going to be moving. Rectangle is going to be moving every single frame. And close. Anyways, now the rectangle will be moving every single frame. But you see that it's going to leave a trail behind it, which I don't really want that trail. So c.clear rect. Clear rect 0,0, can.width, can.height, height. Now you see that there's no more trail anymore. We've got this moving rectangle, but yeah. Now I can remove this. So I just did that as an example. For now, now it's time to start coding the actual effect. So now I can write let rect to be equal to, as in like an empty. Let rect be equal to an empty array. That's an empty array. And why do I have to say that? I'm going to make let rect, and I'm going to make it an empty array. I already said that. Now what we want to do is that with this array, we're going to be adding rectangles to this array and going to be drawing them on the screen. Still moving rectangle. Wait. So now I am going to create like a something. So now I'm going to write documents on mouse move equals E, and then now when the mouse moves, on the screen, I am going to create a new array called pause. It's going to be an empty array with write 0,0. Then it's going to update this array. And the first value is going to be the mouse's x position, e.client x. And the second value will be the mouse's y position, e.client y. And now we can inspect it. Oh yeah, but now I'm also going to print pause. No, it's not print. I meant console.log pause, which is basically going to print it out. Yeah. Now you see that when the mouse moves, the value of it updates. Cool. Now that we have our justified answer, move so that it doesn't crash. Actually, it won't crash. Now that we have our justified answer, it's time to start actually rendering out the things in here. So write for const rect. No, for const r in rect. Now I'm going to add a list to here. I'm going to set its x position to 0, its y position to 0, its width to 0, and also w stands short for width, and its height to like 100. For const r in rect, print rect r dot x. Cool. Console.log. Now I'm going to reload this. Inspect. Cool. It works. So now I can continue on. So now we have to actually draw it. So to draw it, I'm going to write c.fillRect, which is for drawing, and then rect r.x, rect r.y, rect r.w is short for width, and rect r.h, which is short for height. Now we're going to see a black rectangle on the screen, which is a good thing, obviously. So now that we have this cool rectangle on the screen, I want to make it to fall down. I want to make the rectangle to actually fall down. So I have to write rect r.x plus equals rect r.dx. First, dot dy. I meant y. And then rect r.dy plus equals rect r.y. I mean plus equals 0.1. Now we have to actually define the dy, which writes dy is going to be like, and then dy is going to be 0, and then dx is going to be like 1. This dx variable we're going to use later. Dy is basically its speed on the y-axis, while dx is the speed on the x-axis. So we'll be increasing the speed on the y-axis every single frame. Now it's dropping. Cool. I'm also going to create another variable called fall speed. I'm set to 0.1. I'm going to set that it's going to be rect r dot fall speed. Yeah, the same thing. I'm also going to increase its x position by its x speed. Now I'm going to increase it since it's going to be too slow. Now you see that it's falling down. But this isn't really interesting. We want it to bounce, but it just falls through the floor. Another thing I'm going to do c dot fill rect 0, and I'm going to copy this. And then I can set the fill style to black. What this does is that basically makes, you know, a black background for it. I'm going to set the fill style to white. There. I'm also going to reduce the height 1400. 700, 1,300. 700 is still a bit too much. 600. There we go. Now you have this white rectangle falling down. Go to increase the dx. But we want it so that you know, to bounce off the bottom of the screen. So write rects are if then if the y position of this is greater than the width, the height of the canvas, I mean dot y, then it is going, then the speed on the y-axis is going to turn to -10, and it works. But it actually goes through the canvas, not bounces off the canvas. So we have to add this by its height plus its height, and now it actually bounces off the canvas. The next thing we want to do is that we want it to bounce off the edges of the wall. So we're going to make a separate if statement. If its x position, if its x position is greater than the canvas's width, or its x position is less than 0, then its speed on the x-axis, I'm going to multiply it by -1. Now what this does basically just make sure that you know, it doesn't bounce, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. And now we shall experience amazingness. But you see that there's a bit of a problem. It also goes through the canvas, so we have to add this by this thing's width. So I can check collision properly and just wait for it. Just wait for it. We've got it, guys. Now that you have this bouncing rectangle on the screen, we need to make the rectangle to actually, be generating. So I am going to remove all the items of this list. I'm going to cut it. And then I'm going to create a variable called t0. And every single frame, this variable will be updating by 1. So now, if this t variable is greater than 90, then it will add to the rect list. It will add to it the list dot push to add it to the end of the list. This, and it's going to set this t variable to 0. And this t variable is a timer. We update the timer every single frame by 1, and then if the timer is greater than 90, not only do we set the timer to 0 so that I can reset, we also add something to this, whatever you call it. Now you see that there are bouncing rectangles everywhere. Now currently these rectangles cannot collide with each other, which is not really a good thing, I suppose. But I am going to talk about that in another video. No, I'm going to talk about, these rectangle collisions in another video. So now we have all these bouncing rectangles on the screen. But we need to make them to actually follow the mouse. We'll just set the dy to -10 so that there's a bit of a bounce. And what's happening? -10 is a bit too much. So now replace this with pause 0, which is the mouse's x position, and the pause of 1, which is the mouse's y position. And yes, it works. But now it's not spawning at the center of the mouse. So we have to minus this by, wait, no. So now we have to minus this by 100 divided by 2. Now we see that it spawned at the center of the mouse. We've got the basics of this working. Now we want to add some randomness to it. Now the next thing we want to do is add randomness to it. I'm going to increase this. To add randomness to it, I'm going to randomize its fall speed. First of all, the first thing I'm going to do is randomize its fall speed. Mass dot random, which basically creates a random value between 0 and 1. I'm going to write mass dot round, which is going to round it since it's going to be returning decimals and the decimals are too complex. It's going to round mass dot random times 100. I'd copy this. Wait, no, I meant times 10. Now reload. Oh. What is this? What is happening? This is madness. What is this? What is happening? This is madness. Oh no, this has gone totally wrong. I'm just going to do so I'm going to just do mass dot random. And I'm not going to round it since I wanted to return decimal values. Oh, whoa! Where did the canvas go? What is this? Oh no! Why does this have to happen? Reload. Still not working. Oh, what the? What is happening? This rect dot push. Now I see the problem. Why do these errors always have to happen? Save, reload. Now these rectangles have random fall speeds. They can be really floaty or really unfloaty. The majority of them are really floaty. It's not really, good. So I'm going to multiply this mass dot random times 0.5. Now we're getting much more floatier results. Just bounced off screen. So anyways, now that we've got this and the floaty ones, it bounce a bit too high. I'm going to multiply by like 0.7 instead. And still too unfloaty. 0.5 is good. So now next thing I want to do is that I want to randomize with the width and the height. So create a variable called, size, as I said, to mass.random, mass.floor. So I'm going to multiply this by 100. So we'll set this to size. and set this to size. Save. Floaty, unfloaty. Now you see that it generates rectangles of random sizes. Including tiny rectangles. Well, this is pretty cool. I'm going to sort this times 0.67 again. It's all nice and balanced. Tiny rectangles. Yeah, now these rectangles, they're getting a bit too tiny. I don't want that, so I'm going to add this by 10. And yeah, so no more tiny rectangles anymore. Now that we've got this, now there are two more things that I want to add to this thing. Now I am going to copy this and then paste it here and then move this times 10. And there we go. And I also want to add a trail effect to this. So instead of setting this fill style to the background fill style to black, instead we can set this to RGBA, which stands for red, green, blue, alpha. It's black and 0.2. Now it has this cool trail effect. And I'm also going to remove this clear rect. Now we have this cool trail effect. It's so beautiful. Now, if you want to shorten the length of the trail, you can increase the opacity. It's a really short length trail. I'm fine with this. And now that we've got this, the last thing I'm going to do is change the background color and add the ability to remove rectangles. You may be asking how? Well, I'm going to pick document.onMouse down, which means when the mouse is, rest. Then write rect and set it to an empty array again. And now we can delete these rectangles with the press of a button. The last thing I want to do is change the background to a much more beautiful background. So search for color picker on Google. It is going to open up a color picker which allows you to select different colors. I think I like this background, so I'll copy the. Now, if you see a background you like, copy the RGB values, delete these and paste them here. And now we have a sky blue background. But now we also need to change the color of these squares since, it's obvious the squares, they don't really fit in with the background. Now I'm going to make the squares a sort of reddish color. I'm going to copy the RGB values to make it much more bolder red. And then change to RGBA paste the RGB values. Now I'm going to change this to RGB. Paste the RGB values, and there we go. Red rectangles bouncing on the blue screen. It's pretty cool if you ask me. Dot width dot equals to document dot inner widths. Oh. And the last thing we're going to do is I'm going to add a body tag. I know it's a thought. And then I am going to make the color of it. I will copy this. Background color. RGB. No. And yeah. Now it blends perfectly flawlessly. The last thing I want to add is random color picking, which will allow you to choose between many different random colors. The way to add random color picking, I'm going to change it to this. I'm going to set a variable called col. I'm going to make it an array. And then I'll copy this. Except I'll change it to times 255, since there are 255 variations of every single color. So it just makes sense. So now every single time that this function runs, I will change the col, and then I'll change this to col 0, col 1, and lastly col 2. Now it generates completely random colors. Oh no. Changes the color of everything until you need color for each square. So instead of that, I'm going to copy this fill style into here. And then for const r in rect, I'm going to set its fill style to RGB yeah, and then $, comma $, comma $, rect r dot col, rect r dot col 0. No, this is rect r dot col 2. Then copy this, but then paste it for all the other ones. This is just called 1, and then this is just called 0. And now I'm going to add a new value to this, which is col. And I'll set it to this 2. Yeah. And then I'll set this to mass.random. Control X. Remove. Remove. And paste. Now I'm going to reload. Yeah, now see each of these squares have a unique color. Anyways, that is the end of today's video. Hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel, ObaCode. Bye.